This is the NFL Play Football Podcast, and I'm Jeff Fisher of High School Football America. The NFL celebrates youth and high school football year-round through camps, activities, NFL flag, and tackle leagues. The Play Football Initiative provides a fun and engaging experience for players of all ages and skill levels, equipping young people with key life skills that are building blocks to success on and off the field. The journey across America continues as we make our stop in Northeast Ohio for the Cleveland Browns. NFL Coach of the Year, now a finalist for the Don Shula Award, and boy, is this guy a good one. Chuck Kyle, St. Ignatius, half a century on the sidelines. Oh, and by the way, he also did the thing with track and field there for the Wildcats, and coaches the Browns Coach of the Year, and he is now a finalist, as I said, for the Don Shula Award. And Coach has taken some time here with us today to talk about what's been, boy, when you hear half a century, what's that make you feel other than, I've been around a while?
Oh, jeez. Jeff, I do have to, it goes by quickly. I just have to tell you that. You know, you're just doing something you love to do. And the kids keep you young. I just wouldn't trade a second of what I've done in my life, honestly. It just has been a great, rewarding vocation. How's that?
Yeah,
That's what it's been for me.
It makes total sense. So what got you into the vocation, into the profession? Do you remember that moment when you said, you know what, I'm going to strap a whistle around my neck and start telling kids what to do?
Oh, my. Well, I was clearly going to be an English teacher. I went to John Carroll University, and I wanted to come back and teach English. And back then, you know, if you took English, well, I could go into law, I could go into education, whatever. I thought it was kind of a different prospect there of either way. Anyway, didn't take me long before I'd like to teach English. And hey, I've got energy. I love to do some coaching. Now, honestly, Jeff, I've said this to people. I started to help coach here at St. I was still a senior at John Carroll. The year before, I hurt my shoulder, and I don't go into it. But it was like, okay, it's time to not play. But I had a chance to maybe help out coaching, and so I would drive down and help out. I really enjoyed it. There was an English opening the following spring. I get the English opening, and clearly I was going to coach football as an assistant and teach English. I walk into the building to sign my teaching contract, which is hardly worth any money, but I was going to do it, right? And I'm walking down the hall, and the athletic director turned to me and said, well, when you were here, you ran track, didn't you? And I said, yes, sir, I did. He goes, do you want to be the head track coach? Yeah, I said, sure, I'll be the head track. That was 49 years ago. How's that? Yeah. It just how things have changed over the years on interviews and all that sort of silliness, right?
Yeah, and I'm not going to bore you with the stupid media questions. How has the student changed? How is this? But I do want to ask you a question because you're still in the classroom. When I was writing your head of communications there about getting you on the podcast here, he said, well, Coach is still in the classroom. So my question is this: how does one fuel the other? Meaning, how does that teaching position fuel the coaching, or vice versa, if at all? Maybe, I guess.
Oh, I think I have a good answer for you. How's that?
That's good.
I constantly have believed that here I am in my English room, and I do my best to make these articulate young men write properly and enjoy reading. But 3:05 hits, and I put the whistle on, and I go to another classroom, and that classroom is the field out there, the practice field. And that is a great classroom out there. And for me to say what equals out what happens here, both of them are a great teaching environment. And I honestly, I've lasted this long not even worrying about a record. I honestly, that was, you set a goal to win a state championship that year. Every year is like writing a novel. Each game's like a chapter, and you just battle through it, and there's different characters and all sorts. And that's a nice little short time goal. But what I really enjoyed over the years and what kept me in it here's a young kid who wants to learn how to be whatever position you want. And you sit there and you just try to help that kid get better. And when you see that kid, when you see it in his eyes, that you can see that he believes he's getting better, and you start seeing that enthusiasm, wow, it's just a tremendous career to be in. It really is. That's what it's. So to me, there's two different environments here of education, and both of them are very, very important to young people.
And probably keeps you young as well. The Chuck Kyle novel, I guess, reads like this: 377 wins, 11 state titles, a bunch of mythical national titles, track and field, a couple of state titles. Yeah, I think you did pretty well, Coach. Did pretty well there.
Well,
Go ahead.
I won't argue with you.
It's a good novel.
There were some little, tragedies along the way. No, things that disappoint. But honestly, you learn a lot from the games you lose.
Sure.
It points out a flaw, and then you got to work on it. So that's okay. That's part of life and all that. But yeah, it's been just hard work and work ethic, and it really does make a difference. And when you can convince the young kids that they find their niche, they really. Whether it's track and field or football, they really find that they want to dedicate their time to it and find it rewarding that way, that kind of work. That's a great lesson, and that's why there's success. I think any coach would tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
You can plan all the X's and O's. Every play I've ever diagrammed goes for a touchdown on the chalkboard. Every one of them. That's touchdown. The only problem is there's 22 human beings that could take place at the snap of the ball, right? And God knows what's going to happen, and that's the fun part of it. So that's good stuff.
No doubt about it. Chuck Kyle, the Cleveland Browns Coach of the Year. He is now a finalist for the Don Shula Award. Winners of that will be announced later on this month. Coach, and you are retiring. I didn't mention that at the top.
Right.
So, I know you've got a lot of life ahead of you, but I want to look back a little bit on it now. This is your life type of stuff. But, one of the beauties about the coaching profession is, especially I think high school football, everybody shares, everybody borrows. It's a wonderful profession to be in. And I was just curious, after all these many years, who are some of the coaches that have made an impact on you as a coach?
Oh, my. Well, I think a lot of us look towards the college coaches, first of all. Mm-hmm. The way it works, man, spring ball, they all invite you to come and watch what they're doing. You can sit in meetings and things like that. They have been always very generous. I help organize our local high school football clinic in February. And really, they've been always very gracious and going, hey, I'll come up and speak. What date is that? I'll be there to help the program out. And that's guy after guy, very, very influential that way. I go back a long ways and throw a name at you. Here we are in Cleveland, Ohio, and the weather was always bad. There were no artificial turfs so, everybody, well, you can't rely on throwing the ball in Cleveland, Ohio, because after a certain while, it's going to be all muddy fields, and that sort of thing. And we were young coaches, and we're just sitting there going, well, wait a minute now. We'd love to sit here and run the ball, but I think you can still throw the ball. I mean, if it's a little slippery out there, let's make sure. So the offensive coordinator, he knew a friend down in Miami, so he went down to Miami, Florida. Bernie Kosar and Howard Schellenbarger was the coach. Mm-hmm. Howard Schellenbarger, and he was lighting it up with throwing the football. And we said, hey, head down there. I'm coaching track. And spend a couple days, and the assistant comes back, and we sit down, we talk, and we're going, you know what? Let's go. We're gonna get this throwing game going, because God bless Woody Hayes, but yeah, you can remember. I mean, Woody would throw the ball 5 times a game.
3 yards and a cloud of dust.
Yeah, and that was kind of the way Ohio football was, just pound away, and we thought we could maybe do something a little more where, sure, we'd love to run the football. That's not the point, but if defenses are lined up tight like that, there's some things open. Let's work on it. So I think that in that area that really helped, and along the way, Jim Trussell, a very good friend of mine, really influential in just the way you treat human beings, and the way kids really respect their coaches and believe in them. Jim was, a good friend, and I will always love talking to him. And along the way, you meet guys like Bo Schembechler, just who would always be just eager to sit down with you and just talk football and talk kids. And there's a lot of people that influence me. It's interesting because, you start out this young, eager kid, and there's these older guys that have great knowledge and wisdom, and they're willing to share. And, in a blink of an eye, Jeff, I'm the old guy, and I've got young coaches coming to me for some kind of words of wisdom. I'm going, my goodness, things do make a full circle, don't they?
Yeah, and Bernie Kosar ends up being in Cleveland. Right, at one point. There's another part of that circle of a well-written story.
Oh, sure. Who knows it?
Yeah.
He was a Youngstown kid, and he wanted to be in Northeast Ohio. Things worked out, and certainly those years of the Browns are legendary. So
no doubt about
fun.
it. The good Lord works in mysterious ways, as they like to say. Chuck Kyle on the line right now, Cleveland Browns Coach of the Year, a finalist for the Shula Award. Coach, now because you are the old guy, you have a little bit of a coaching tree there. You have one of your young men that's going to be following you up there with the Wildcats as the new head coach. I want you to maybe help some of the younger coaches listening here, whether they're HCs, DCs, OCs, and I think the question goes something like this. What is it that you look for when a young man comes to you, or a middle-aged man, whatever, I don't want to age discriminate here, right, and says, Coach, I'd like to be a coach. I'd like to be a part of your staff. What are some of the things you look for? What are those tangibles and intangibles you look for in someone?
Well, Jeff, there's the point being made that, a lot of coaches can come in and put on the chalkboard, good offenses and good defenses, and they're all good. You run any of them right, you'll be successful, and you work hard at that. But and I've had a number of young coaches just come up and just, hey, Coach, can we just talk? And when you say what as a coach, what do you think are what's an important idea for me to remember? And Jeff, what I always tell them is this: be yourself first of all. Don't try to be Woody Hayes. Don't try to be Nick Saban. Be yourself. Certainly, you can look at what they do on offense and defense, and put it into your program. But really, first of all got to be yourself. And number two, really take joy into helping the kid. Make that your focus. Don't worry about your record. That'll take care of itself. But you want to make sure that kid looks at you, Coach, and believes thoroughly that coach in front of me really wants me to do well. That coach is helping me unselfishly and trying to help me become a better football player in small techniques, whatever, in getting it. When a kid believes that kid will do anything for you. He will. He'll because he believes that your number one care is helping him. When kids believe that, you're going to have a good team. You will.
Makes sense. And you're leaving some big shoes there as you leave the head coaching position. And I know that one of your players and assistant is filling in there. I'm just curious, what's some of the advice that you're giving him about following up on Coach Kyle?
Well, he's been the defensive coordinator now for, I think, 12, 13 years. So he's had a lot of time with me when we're preparing each week for games and off season. So I think that part of it, he certainly has seen me in action. I've seen him in action. And I right away, when this thing was coming down, I said, look, you don't do this nationwide search for anything, please. You got a wonderful man right in the building here who gets it, who understands what we're doing and understands how to really get kids to enjoy playing football. And so I I spent this last year where this thing was already set that this was going to be my last season, and that Ryan Franzer, was going to take over. And when we announced it over a year ago to the kids, I brought them in. We all sat down, and I did explain that I'm going to retire after this next year. And you could see the kids kind of just with these wide eyes, kind of, whoa. And so I didn't want to leave them like that. So within a few seconds after that, I just said, now, fellas, at this point, then let me introduce you to the next head football coach, Ryan Franzen. And I brought Ryan over. And you could see the kids just take a deep sigh of relief, right? Because they know, he gets it. Ryan's like what we've been doing. Ryan really is very dedicated to just help the kid. Great. We could set up defensive schemes and blitzes and offenses and passes. But the key thing is just there's a guy that's really going to help me become better. And that's what Ryan will do, and that's why I can walk away with a smile on my face, okay?
Yeah, and I'll ask you the question. Have you ever already thought about what's going to happen come August when the bell dings and you're not the guy out there with a whistle around your neck anymore, or will you kind of wander over here and there? What are you thinking?
Well, okay. First of all, if my wife was sitting right here, she'd be going, "We're going out of the country because it'll be August." And she's picturing I'm going to break into the shakes, and start foaming at the mouth or something. She's saying, we're going to be out of the country if we can. Well, okay, hon, I get it. But I will be actually, and I've been doing some work with the Cleveland Browns in their youth football program, development program. The Browns have been tremendous in really seeing that, again, football is a very good educational tool.
Absolutely.
And so that I've had the pleasure just working with them and visiting youth league, giving clinics for young coaches. You picture typically for youth coaches, it's a dad who played maybe 20 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. And his son's at that age, and he goes, hey, well, I played, I'll volunteer and coach. But nowadays, you can't do the same things you did 20 years ago, okay? Football has changed. And so I do a lot of clinics talking about especially tackling and contact and practice organizations and just proper things to do. And understand that the game of football needed to adjust. You no longer start the first day of football practice with Oklahoma drill to find out who the men folk are. Yep. I mean, no, we don't do that anymore. Let's talk about how to teach tackling and be in a proper position at contact so it's safer. And just so I've enjoyed doing this with the Browns, and I guess I get a little bit more time to help out, so that'll be okay. That'll be very, very cool. Normally, in all of these interviews I've been doing with all the winners over the last several weeks here, I throw in a question about name your captains, some of your assistants, that sort of thing. But we got a 50-year body of work here, and there's no way you could get every name in, and we don't want to tick anybody off. But I know some person we can talk about, and you just mentioned that, and I think it's always kind of lost, although not with me,
because I try to ask this question a lot, but you mentioned the misses. No successful high school football coach in America, whether they've been doing it for 50 years or several years, can't do it without a good partner in crime there. And I just wanted you to maybe wax eloquently there. Maybe you'll get an extra something in your dinner, a bigger steak or something. Tell me a little bit about your really real assistant head coach.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah. She's probably literally the head coach. Okay, let's give proper recognition what should happen. Okay, and by the way, she's a very good cook, so I'm okay in that meal department.
Okay,
I'm fortunate that well, I was very fortunate. I knew my wife in high school. We went out a couple times, but I mean, we always very comfortable with each other. But you know how things are in high school. You just all run around. Her father was the mayor of a suburb in the Cleveland area for 46 years. Just dedicated guy. And you know, when you're the mayor of a small town, and you have he had a law practice too. You know, you're not at home. You know, there's a lot of things you have to go to, meetings and things like that. So fortunately, she was kind of used to the idea that the man in the household, it takes hours for them to, do what they have to do. And she's always believed that. She's always believed that, look, love to have you home, but go get the job done. I mean, that was the basic message she would give me. Go get the job done, all right? And, so I've been just absolutely, I mentioned earlier I wouldn't trade a second of what my life's been and whatever. And she's part of that. I wouldn't trade a second. I mean, it's been a wonderful experience. And she was an artist, right? And so to say that she had some big connection with football, other than, high school football games, she'd go to the games, and her parents had Browns tickets, so she never go to the Browns game, I guess, then, but her parents loved football, that's for sure, so there was just this permission I got, okay, to do this sort of thing. And I guess that's for the younger coaches. Please realize you get permission from your wife to do these things, okay?
And she earned all 377 wins there, right, with you. And
yeah.
We're talking with Chuck Kyle, St. Ignatius, the Cleveland Browns Coach of the Year, and you're here talking to me today because of that honor from the Browns and being a finalist for the Shula Award. So a couple of questions on that. You've mentioned you're already working with the Browns. Probably one of the things that you've seen through the course of your time there in Northeast Ohio is the fact that the NFL and the Browns in particular reaching down more and more into the roots of the game. What does that mean to you as a coach? I know you're going to be involved in that, but is that something that puts a smile on your face to know that the guys at the top have not forgotten the people down below?
Oh, it's very necessary. It's very necessary, and it's very rewarding, and I'm enjoying this relationship with the Cleveland Browns in doing this. Why? They firmly believe in what we've been talking about, that the game of football really does contribute to education quite a bit. Not many of the kids that you deal with are going to go on to the NFL, but there will be some, okay? And you certainly want people to enjoy the game of football, but football cannot be just a spectator sport. It cannot be just a gladiator sport. How's that? There's a big crowd watching the gladiators out in the arena, but the people don't want to play it? That's sad. The game of football will dry up that way, and you don't want to see that. Clearly, I enjoy other sports. Don't get me wrong, but there's no debate. What's the number one spectator sport in America? By far, it's football. And people really enjoy it, and kids really enjoy playing it. But it's our job, I think, as in the stage I'm at in my career, and I find it very uplifting, is to make sure that it's, with all that's happened, is let's work on technique that's safer and playing the game the way it should be done. And so the parents are confident to have their kid, go play. And the kid wants to play. The kid wants to play. And they can be confident if the youth coaches, if their practices are safer, if they're teaching good technique that's safer, then this is what should happen. So I've been so encouraged by the Cleveland Browns they love what we're doing, and because of that, I'm looking forward to this next phase of my life. I'm definitely looking forward to it because it is needed. Mm-hmm. It's needed for our game to continue the way we want it. We got to do this.
It's a great game, right. And we need people like you that know how to educate and teach the proper techniques. The game's never been safer. It's getting better all the time, and I look forward to hearing what you do with that. I'm going to wrap up with one question here. Evidently, you made a trip down there to Miami, as you told us. You met somebody at the U of M, and now you're a finalist for the Don Shula Award. I don't know if you met Coach Shula or any when you were down there or not, but my question would be, how's it feel to have your name bandied about with the legendary Don Shula in one sentence?
Well, it's an amazing honor. When somebody told me that this was this situation, you got me kidding. I do want to remind people that Don Shula went to John Carroll University. Okay? I do want to remind people, but that's just a coincidence, I think, more than anything. But I can remember the quality of coaching that he did, when he was in the pros and the legendary seasons that he had. And, everybody looked to him as the exemplar of what a coach should be. Certainly smart, certainly on the cutting edge of football, but his demeanor. There's time to be tough, but there's also time, you always made sure that if you were kind of tough on a player, within the next 24 hours, you were patting him on the back and encouraging him on. And Don Shula was definitely that type of guy. And look what he did for pro football. I mean, when the Super Bowls, yes, it was still kind of getting there with popularity. He certainly gave it a big step up. So it's just an honor. It's a great honor, and I appreciate just being in the same sentence here.
Yeah, I can only imagine, as an English teacher nonetheless. And I was going to let you go, but I do have one more question based about on what you just said there. Let's fast forward ahead 10 years. You walk into a restaurant, there's a big table, there's about a dozen of your former players there, spanning all, kind of groups there, maybe from 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and they're talking about Coach. What would you like to hear them saying about Coach Kyle?
Well, I hope that they talk about that I was a good role model for them, that I was a good mentor for them. I don't really care if they talk about wins and losses. I really don't. I hope I was when maybe sometime in their life they had a tough situation, and I've had so many past players write beautiful notes to me in this last year, just saying, Coach, I still remember when I was struggling on something and you pulled me aside and you said this, and, Jeff, I don't remember that conversation. I don't, but they do, and to think that you could have that kind of influence on people that you helped them gain confidence in themselves or help them learn a work ethic. I think most of the letters I get say, Coach, thank you, because you taught me how important work ethic is. And it's been a big, big part of my successful career. When I read notes like that, Jeff, I'm just what the,
humbles
that's
you.
Amazing. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, Coach, thank you so much for taking your time with me today. Congratulations on the award. Congratulations on the career. And I've said this to everyone going away. And again, it's not whether you've done it for 50 years or 50 minutes, but when you take time like you have, and they do these days, to give of your time to another family, that football family, that means a lot. So thank you for doing what you've done for the the student athletes there in Northeast Ohio. And we wish you best of luck when it comes time to announcing who the winner of the Schuler Award is. And thanks for joining me tonight.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
That's the NFL Play Football Podcast. Coaches, don't forget to check out playfootball.nfl.com for some great resources to help you improve in the coaching profession. I'm Jeff Fisher of High School Football America, and you've been listening to the NFL Play Football Podcast.